Hello there, my fellow adventurers. Uh, if you are coming to this channel, 5 Minutes with KeRusso on Mondays, you know what we're doing is taking this journey through books of the Bible and discovering what do these books mean and what is the relevance of these books to us. If you're just checking us out for the first time today, well, keep coming back and take an adventure with us. We're looking at this 8th book of the Bible, the book of Ruth, trying to discover what does it mean and why is it relevant, or is it relevant? Give it a fresh look and see what comes to you, okay? Now, for those of us who started this journey together last week, I gave you some things to do. If you are just starting with us today, well, you can do this also. Just jump right in. As you look at some text, because the very first verse of Ruth says this: in the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. Now that gives you some important information there. Ruth lived during the time of the judges, and there's a famine going on. Now, I just read that. What does that mean? Well, if you go back to Leviticus 26, 18 through 20, which I asked you to read, and God had told the people, he said, listen, when you come into this land, if you listen to me, if you're faithful to me, I'm going to bless you, and all kinds of great things are going to happen. But if you don't listen to me, then I'm going to start disciplining you, and bad things are going to come your way. And one of those things was famine. So if you look at verse 1 of Ruth, in that first chapter, you're finding out right away that this story unfolds in a time when the people are living in rebellion to God. That's the start of the story. I asked you to read some places in Judges where you saw these statements of, in the days of the judges, people had no king and everybody did as they saw fit. Well, when people live as they see fit, each one sees fit, that usually means a lot of bad things happen. And you know that from your own history, whatever country you live in, whatever community you live in, maybe the life that you've lived in the past, maybe the people around you. You see everybody's doing their own thing, whatever they want to do, and you just see, there's just a lot of bad things that go on when that's the standard by which people live. Well, Judges is this endless cycle of people doing what they want to do and turning away from God, and God disciplining them and bringing them back, and they're faithful for a while, and then they again get to do what they want to do or go about doing their own thing, and bad things happen, and it's just an endless cycle. Well, this is the beginning of the story of Ruth. And what I want you to think about here, the initial characters in the story that you're introduced to, there's a guy by the name of Elimelech and his wife named Naomi, and they have two sons, Mahlon and Chilion. And during this time of famine, they go to Moab. And so this is how their story begins to unfold. Well, ask yourself this question. Are Elimelech and Naomi and their sons, are they part of this culture of Israel that's rebelling against God? Are they living unfaithful to God? Are they in rebellion to him? And read the book of Ruth through that lens. What's that have to say to people who live in rebellion to God? Then consider the other possibility. Not everybody in Israel was unfaithful to God. Just the majority were. But there were still faithful Israelites, people who still loved God and who were devoted to him. And maybe Elimelech and Naomi are some of those few. And maybe their journey to Moab is simply just because they're trying to survive. Well, the story unfolds in a different way if you see that perspective. Excuse me. So look at both perspectives and see which one makes more sense to you, which one seems to hold up. Maybe they're both options. But do some digging and do discovery and see what you learn. Because whatever country you live in, you're probably living in a country that's living in rebellion to God as far as the majority are concerned. And maybe you're living in rebellion to God. But maybe you're one of the faithful few living in the midst of rebellious people. So maybe there's some things that Ruth has to say to you. Now, we're going to get back next week, and we're going to go further with this, and I'll give you a couple of things to do. Read through Ruth and highlight any words that seem like they are prominent. Maybe they're repetitive. Maybe they just seem significant. Just highlight those. Let's pick up on some threads and see if there's something that teaches us. The other thing is do a little digging and see what the names of the main characters mean. There's a story there. All right? Next week we'll pick up there. Thanks for spending time with me today. Enjoy this journey and be blessed by it. Leave any comments you would like. You can send emails at booksbykerusso@gmail.com. As always, be blessed.